and a penumbral eclipse. The umbral shadow is the darkest shadow, and the penumbral shadow is the lightest shadow. Now over to you, Pranav.
Thank you, Hasini. Now, we will be observing the moon. I will be using the EOS utility app to observe the moon clearly. The camera I am using is a Canon 600D camera with a 55 to 200 millimeter lens. The first crater I will be showing you is the Tycho crater. But as you can see, the Tycho crater is now covered with the shadow of the lunar eclipse. But still, I will be telling you some facts. As you have seen some moon photos, the Tycho crater has white rays coming out of its rims. But do you know why that happened? This is because that was formed when a space rock crashed into the moon, and the ejecta, the material which is forced out of the impact crater, was spread across the moon for about 2,000 kilometers on the near side. Over to you, Hasini.
Thank you, Pranav. So, as you know, there are prominent craters like the Tycho, Kepler, and the Copernicus crater. There are certain times when the eclipse enters and exits these craters. For example, the Tycho crater enters at 8 o'clock p.m. and exits at 10:24 p.m. The Kepler crater enters at 8:07 p.m. and exits at 9:57 p.m. And the Copernicus crater enters at 8:14 p.m. and exits at 10:05 p.m. of course. So keep in mind that all of these timings are from the Australian time zone. Now I'm going to present my screen and show you how the lunar eclipse is going to happen. I'll be showing you the process. Yes. So this is how the lunar eclipse is going to happen. First, the moon will enter the penumbral shadow, and then it will enter the umbral shadow. So as you can see that the redness actually depends on the location of the moon, and it also depends on the pollution in the place where you're seeing the lunar eclipse. So I think in Australia, there's not a lot of pollution, right, Pranav?
Yes, that is right, Hasini.
Yes, so this is how the lunar eclipse is going to happen. We've already crossed the penumbral shadow. Now slowly we're going to be able to see the blood moon. I'm very excited for this.
I am too, Hasini.
Now over to you, Pranav.
I will now be presenting my screen to see the lunar eclipse. Just to give an update, what is happening. Yes. As you can see, it is covered almost 3/4 of the moon.
Wow.
And most of the craters are covered in shadow, and the line between the shadow and the moon is called the terminator. Let me just zoom in. Let me zoom in into the moon.
Wow. I can see the moon. It looks really beautiful, right?
Right, Hasini. As you can see, now, here is the moon in the close-up 5 times view.
Wow.
It is blurry because of the atmosphere turbulence. The atmosphere is filled with a bit of pollution, so that's why it's a bit blurry.
Yes.
Back to you, Hasini.
Yes. So while we're enjoying the beautiful lunar eclipse, let's also answer a few questions. So we will be asking you a few questions about the moon and a little bit about the eclipses. So our first question to you is, how old is the moon? So you can answer these questions in the live chat. Now, meanwhile, let's also listen to some interesting facts. Did you know that the longest lunar eclipse recorded in the previous years lasted for 106 minutes and 25 seconds? It happened on the 26th of July in the year 2000, and it was visible from Eastern Asia in Australia. Isn't that cool?
Yes, that's very cool, Hasini.
Yes, I know. And here's another fun fact. Well, Pranav, can you give us the next fun fact?
Yes, sure. Did you know that today is a very rare moon called the super blood wolf moon? It is, it is one of the rarest lunar eclipses in history. Apparently, it's gonna happen today.
Well, you guys are very lucky that we're doing this live stream because this is going to look amazing. So, uh, now for the quiz, I think the answer is 4.53 billion years. Kudos to those who actually got the answer right. Now, we are going to watch a short video about the moon in general so that you can get a clear glimpse of what the moon is and a lot about the history of the moon. So, I'm going to present my screen and show you the video. I hope you can see my screen.
Over 150 moons orbit the solar system's planets, and one of those moons calls Earth home. The moon was formed about 4.5 billion years ago, when, according to one theory, the Earth slammed into another early planet. Debris from this collision began to orbit Earth and accumulated, forming today's moon. The moon is the fifth largest natural satellite in the solar system, with a diameter just under the width of China. It's composed of an iron-rich core, plus a mantle and crust containing minerals made of magnesium, oxygen, and silicon. The moon's surface was once geologically active and covered in an ocean of magma. But today, apart from traces of water ice, the surface is completely covered in dust and rocky debris. Countless craters dot the moon's surface, each formed by objects such as meteoroids, comets, and asteroids crashing onto the moon. The largest crater, the South Pole Aitken Basin, spans across a quarter of the moon's surface and is nearly deep enough to fit Mount Everest inside. The moon orbits our planet at an average distance of 30 Earths. It rotates at the same rate that it revolves. So as it revolves around our planet, the same side of the moon faces the Earth at all times. From the Earth's surface, we can observe 8 distinct, traditionally recognized stages of the moon's illumination. Called lunar phases, they have been observed for thousands of years and even provided the basis for the earliest calendars. For most of human history, the moon could only be studied from afar. But on July 20th, 1969, humans were able to close that distance with the American spaceflight mission Apollo 11.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
It placed humans on the moon for the very first time, bringing our understanding of Earth's only natural satellite one step closer.
Well, that was an interesting video.
Longest lunar
That was very interesting, right?
Yes, that was very interesting, Hasini. Great video.
Okay, so let's get another update of the moon. How does it look, Pranav?
Well, it's surely almost fully covered with the shadow. You can only see a slight slither of the moon.
That
Let's
looks
take a
really.
closer look. As you can see, there's only a slight crescent, like a like the lunar phases, the crescent.
Wow. Moon looks
Did you know
amazing.
today is a super moon?
So let's take a minute to look at the moon. But yeah. And also, let's listen to some of the facts again. And we have another question for you. So, our second question for today is, during which phase of the moon does the lunar eclipse happen? You can answer the question in the live chat. And let's look at our third fact for today. So, the shortest lunar eclipse was at 6:16 a.m. on the April 4th from most parts of the United States, and it only lasted for 5 minutes, unfortunately. But don't worry, this eclipse actually lasts for quite a while, so you will be able to see it clearly. What is
Thank
that?
you, Hassan.
Yeah.
Did you know you can see a lunar eclipse from the moon? Isn't that so interesting?
Wow, I would love to look at the lunar eclipse from the moon. It would be amazing, right?
Yeah.
But
Now
we'll
let's
probably go to the moon in the future. Yes, over to you, Pranav.
let's look at the comments and let's see who got the question right. Over to you, Hasini.
Yes. So the correct answer for that question is full moon. So today is a full moon and the eclipse is happening on a full moon. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
And again, kudos to all of the people who got the answer right. And this was actually an easy question. Don't worry, we're going to give you challenging questions and let's see if you can answer them. So, how is the weather there, Pranav?
The
And
weather is very clear. No air pollution, no clouds. We can see just the moon and stars.
wow. And can you also tell us a little about the EOS utility app and how it works?
Sure. The EOS utility app is an app which connects to a Canon camera. It sends the information to the computer and it displays the live video clearly on your screen.
Wow, that's cool. So you can control your camera from any distance, right?
Yeah, any distance. As long as you have the long cable.
Yeah, that's true. So we
Did
also
you know?
have, yeah. You
Did
can
you
go
know,
ahead.
Hassan? I went to this place called Varambangal. It's a bottle one site, meaning it's the darkest site in Australia. I
Wow.
had so much fun there. I wish I was there right now, as you could see the whole Milky Way.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. I wish there were lots of dark spots in India. Well, there sure are, but I was not able to travel there. But I hope in the future I'll be able to travel to a dark spot so that I can see the whole Milky Way galaxy. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, the dark side is about 500 kilometers away. It took us about around 6 hours to reach.
Wow, that might be a long road trip because it was 6 hours.
We didn't use any telescope to see the Milky Way. We saw it naked eye. We can even see the stardust, the nebula, all the stars.
Wow, that would be amazing. So let's also give out another fun fact because we have a list of fun facts for you. And people are still doing research about the moon, so there's still a lot of things that we need to know.
Yes.
Did you know that size G is the term when the sun, moon, and earth align perfectly? Wow, we've learned some new vocabulary. So now let's get a quick glimpse of how the moon looks.
Yes, we just need the moon has gone out of the camera. We will just be focusing it right now.
Wow, I think the total eclipse has happened. Isn't that cool? Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
the moon.
Wow, look at that. It's just a slight crescent. It's like I can't even see it.
Wow, that is very cool, guys.
That is very like
Amazing.
interesting and fascinating.
Yes, you guys should also look at the moon, but unfortunately, it could only be seen from Australia. Thanks, Pranav, for doing the live stream.
No
Well,
problem, Hasini.
let's take a minute to enjoy the live stream and let's look at the moon. Wow, there's
As you
just
can see, we were able to focus even though it was the slightest slither.
wow. I think it is about to become a full total lunar eclipse. I'm very excited for this.
Yes.
So let's take a minute to enjoy the lunar eclipse right now.
Right, Hasini.
And meanwhile, let's also answer another question, shall we?
Yes, we shall.
Okay, so let's see if you guys can answer our third question. Now, this one I think it has already been answered in the video, but let's also check your memory. Which astronaut and mission were the first to land on the moon? You'll get an extra point if you guess the date and the year. So take your time and answer it properly and correctly. Wow, the zoomed
Yes.
in view looks amazing.
This is a moon, obviously. That's what we're here. That's why we're here today. The line that separates the shadow and the moon is called the terminator. On
Yes,
this side of the moon, there are many craters, but we can't see it right now because of the atmosphere.
yes, I heard that it's pretty cold in Australia. So,
Yeah, it's very cold.
and we also heard that maybe in the future the moon might slowly drift away. So let's enjoy the lunar eclipse while it lasts. Wow, it is a beautiful sight. And you can slightly see a very tiny bit of red on the terminator. Wow.
People who are watching from the northern hemisphere will see a different view of the moon. As I am taking this from the southern hemisphere, and people who are watching from the northern hemisphere will see an inverted view.
Yes. And
Right?
also, yes, that's extremely and very true. And also, we need to go to a darker location when we're seeing an eclipse. And since it's kind of like the afternoon time in India, we won't be able to see the eclipse clearly. So that's why, since it's nighttime in Australia, we're able to clearly see the eclipse. And also, the eclipse is not quite visible in India because you'll only be able to see the penumbral eclipse, which it's not that good. But we can still enjoy the total lunar eclipse, which is going to be really cool. So, yes, let's continue watching the lunar eclipse.
Did you know, Hassan? We can see the blood red moon with the naked eyes here, but though it's not visible from the camera.
Wow, that's something I didn't know.
When
That's
the
really
maximum
cool.
eclipse occurs, the blood red moon The moon will be shining red.
Nice.
We will be
So,
looking at that today.
yes, I'm very excited for it. So, let's watch another short video of the evolution of the moon. So, while we're enjoying the eclipse, let's also watch a video and increase our knowledge.
Yes, Hasini.
So, give me a minute while I'm presenting my screen. Yes, I hope you can see my screen.
Wow, Hasini. That was a very information video.
I know. Now that I look at what the moon has been through, I kind of feel bad for the moon. But
Let's get an update of the moon.
yes,
Currently, this is what the moon looks like.
wow. I can only see a tiny bit of the moon. It looks so
Yes,
amazing.
just
So let's take another
let's check facts now. Let's hear some facts now.
All right. So our next fact is that did you know that lunar eclipses happen every 2.5 years from any given location? Well, that's pretty informative because we didn't really know when lunar eclipses occurred and when they don't. So that's a pretty cool fact. Let's continue watching our eclipse. Wow, looks like the moon has completely disappeared, or it's about to disappear.
Ah,
The eclipse is about to happen, and let's continue watching it. So, I think it might take some time for the moon to completely cover, right, Pranav?
yes, that's right.
Mm-hmm. So, you're using a DSLR camera to show us the moon, right?
That's right.
So, let's continue enjoying the beautiful lunar eclipse. And while we do that, let's uh, move on to our next question. And also, I think because we were watching the video and we were also enjoying the lunar eclipse, we forgot to tell the answer to our third question. So, the answer to that question is Neil Armstrong was the first astronaut, and Apollo 11 is the first mission. And for those of you who found the date, well, the right date is July 20th, and the year is 1969. So, I guess we've been completely amazed by how beautiful the moon is looking. So let's continue to enjoy the moon. And there's only a little bit left until the total lunar eclipse happens. So, yes. And
From my view, when I'm looking at the moon, it's very it's starting to become red.
wow, I can see the moon is actually,
Wow.
you can see the blood moon. Can you see the little bit? It's actually a little red next to the Terminator. Oh my gosh, this is amazing.
That's very amazing.
I know,
It's a
right?
beautiful sight.
6,400. Okay.
I set the ISO onto 6400.
Wow,
The ISO is basically the brightness, how much brightness you add to the picture. It'll
yeah.
either enhance the picture or it'll make the picture too bright.
Yes, I think in this case, since the moon is actually trying to blend in with the sky, I think it is good if we increase the ISO, right?
Yes, that's right.
And you can clearly see some of the, and you can also see the little bit of redishness on the moon. Wow, this looks amazing. And this is the first time I'm looking at the blood moon in a live stream.
In many lunar eclipses, you can't see the stars. Unlike this one, you can see the stars near the moon.
Wow, yes. And also, usually, whenever an eclipse happens, the weather might be a little off. But luckily, today the weather is clear, the sky is clear, and everything is going pretty well. Wow.
Wow.
Look at the zoomed in view. Looks amazing. So, while we're enjoying the moon and its beautiful eclipse, let's also answer another question, shall we? So, what scale is used to measure the darkness of the moon? You can type the answer in the live chat again. And let's continue watching the moon. Yep, eclipse is actually taking some time, right? So
Right.
let's let's just keep enjoying this moment because in the future we might not see any eclipses, but that will only happen in like a million or a billion years.
Let's watch the lunar eclipse for 5 minutes and we will be back.
Yes. So let's continue enjoying the moon, and yeah, that's what we're here for, right? So let's look at the moon. It looks beautiful today. So today we're not only here to look at the lunar eclipse, but also here to realize and also appreciate the moon and also get to know more about our moon because it has been with us for, I don't know, for so long, for 4.53 billion years. And let's also appreciate our natural satellite. And so throughout the whole session, we'll be giving out facts about the moon and we'll get to know a lot about the moon in detail. And that is going to be very interesting. So continue watching the lunar eclipse. Wow, I can slowly see the blood red moon appearing. Wow. So I think we can watch the zoomed in view. The moon is actually moving a little quickly. So yes. And about the quiz and the actual answer is the Danjon scale. So good job everyone who got the answer right. It's the Danjon scale and it is used to measure the darkness of the moon. Wow. And because of the moonlight, you can actually see a little bit of the mares. And yes, I hope you really enjoyed how the moon looks. We're just really close to the total lunar eclipse. So just stay tuned and try watching the whole eclipse. And let's also call this day Moon Appreciating Day because we are going to appreciate the moon while we're looking at it, and it looks amazing. Thanks, Pranav, for doing the live stream. The moon looks outstanding. And as you can see, maybe you can increase a little bit of the ISO so that we'll be able to see the brightness, I mean the blood moon, the redishness and all that. So over to Pranav. Wow, the moon looks amazing, right? You can see the redishness. Yes, I think Pranav, I think you're on mute. So uh, let's hear a lot of information about the moon.
Yes, Hasini. As you can see, it's turning red, like the super blood wolf moon.
Wow, it would be even more cooler if it was on Halloween. Well, imagine how creepy that would be.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yes, we can see the blood red moon. This is actually amazing, don't you think?
Yes, it's very amazing. Mm. Now I will be showing you some features of the moon.
Yes.
Right here on the top left corner is called the Grimaldi. It's a huge crater that formed about 2 billion years ago. And up here on the top right corner, Tycho crater will be visible.
But now I think it has been covered by the Earth shadow. And also, did you know that all of the black spots on the moon, they're actually the mares? So when all of the asteroids and comets were hitting the moon, then there was a lot of lava that was coming out. And over the years, it cooled down, and that's all of the black spots that we can see on the moon. And actually, over the years, people have created a lot of patterns on the moon. So with all of the black mares, and one of the patterns actually looks like a rabbit. Isn't that's really funny? Well, people in the ancient days had a lot of creativity, and they've been able to imagine lots of patterns on the moon. And you can see a little bit of the mares, especially on the top left.
That's right. Just below the Tycho crater, Tycho crater is right here. Just below it is the crater called Campanus. And beside that, there's a crater called Burt. That's a funny
Wow.
name.
Yes.
Here is the Grimaldi. Just right there, there's a crater called Billy.
Wow.
And and right there, there's a crater called Kepler, like Johannes Kepler.
Yes. And also, we're lucky that today is a lunar eclipse, and also and lunar eclipses can be seen with your own eyes, so you don't need to get a special filter or anything. So we can literally see the lunar eclipse with our own eyes, and that's pretty cool. And I think,
Down here, down
yes,
here is a Plato crater.
and unfortunately, you won't be able to see the solar eclipse, but solar eclipses are also very cool.
Here is a Plato crater. Above the Plato crater is the crater called Pico.
Wow, some of the craters have funny names, don't they?
Yeah.
Probably. Yes.
Beside the Grimaldi, there is a crater called Proclus. It's a very small crater and can only see and we can only see it through a telescope.
Wow. Since we're using a DSLR camera today, I don't think a lot of craters will be visible, but we will be able to see the complete eclipse. And
Looks like
you
the
know,
total eclipse has started. It starts from 9:11 to 9:25
yeah,
Australia.
yeah. And right now it is 4:45 p.m. in India. So let's take a minute to enjoy the lunar eclipse. And since it's a total eclipse, it's going to be very interesting. Wow, I love the zoomed in version. It looks amazing, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
And also, while we're enjoying the lunar eclipse, let's also listen to another small fun fact. A lunar eclipse does not happen on every full moon. So we won't be able to see a lunar eclipse every full moon, but I wish we could so that um, we'll be able to see the blood moon very often, and that'll look really cool because this is the first time I'm looking at a blood moon in a live stream, and that's pretty cool. So,
Wow.
so is this your first time looking at the blood moon, Pranav?
Yes, it is indeed.
Yes. So the moon is actually complete. It's about to be covered by the umbral shadow, and we can see a little bit of the reddishness next to the edge of the moon. Wow. And did you know that the Aitken Basin is the largest crater, and it is actually one of the first craters that, to be formed, one of them. And I think it was also mentioned in one of the videos that we recently watched. So we won't be able to see the Aitken Basin. It is located in the south pole of the moon. So let's enjoy it. So let's also answer another question, shall we? So, which eclipse is more prominent? Uh, so which eclipse have you seen a lot? Like, I've seen a couple of solar eclipses and lunar eclipses, but I'm not giving any hints.
Meanwhile, let's talk about when the shadow comes into the craters of the moon. As Hasni said, we already discussed about Tycho, Kepler, and Copernicus. There are three other craters: the Grimaldi, Aristarchus, and Langrenus. The Grimaldi crater will enter at 7:52 p.m. and 2 and exit at 9:53 p.m. The Aristarchus crater enters at 8:15 p.m. and leaves at 9:48 p.m. The Langrenus crater entry enters at 8:36 p.m. and exits at 10:48 p.m. Just keep in mind, these are all in AEST time.
Which is also the Australian time zone timings. And let's keep an eye on all these craters because they will be not seen in a few minutes, like very soon. So let's keep an eye on them. And also, eclipses can also help us study the moon clearly. Well, in the lunar eclipse, we can't really study the moon a lot, but in solar eclipses, we'll be able to look at and study more into the shape of the moon. We'll be able to see a lot of craters, and since uh, like annular eclipses are very cool because you'll be able to see the craters of the moon, the edges. That's very cool. And there are lots and lots of craters that have been created by the asteroids and comets.
That's right.
Yes. So and for the answer for our question that we've just asked from our quiz, the answer is a lunar eclipse. So lunar eclipses can be seen more often, and total lunar eclipses are actually kind of rare. Well, they're not completely rare, but we'll be able to see a lot of penumbral eclipses. And yes, so let's watch the moon. And I
We
think,
are now in the maximum eclipse.
yes, we can see the total lunar eclipse now. So get your cameras out and let's take pictures.
If I'm over here, okay? Understand. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry. No problem. I'm just telling you that.
Now the moon is in the umbral shadow, meaning it's the maximum eclipse, the full eclipse.
Yes, it has entered the umbral shadow, and we can see the redness. The super wolf blood moon is here. So everyone, take a minute to enjoy it and look at it while it lasts. So Pranav, how much have you zoomed in to take uh, show us the moon?
Maximum eclipse. Only zoom.
I have zoomed in for 5 times zoom in.
Wow, that's really cool. And that means
Remember,
yeah,
remember, it's the maximum eclipse. Eclipse, the best time to see the eclipse.
yes. So that's why we need to take a little bit of effort to zoom in. So I think we can clearly see how the moon looks, and and as I keep saying, let's enjoy it while it lasts.
The time here is now 9:24 p.m. What's the time in your place, Hasni?
Well, right now it's 4:55 p.m. in India. Well, Let's wait for a few more minutes until the whole moon is covered by the Earth's shadow. And let's also uh, take our pictures of the moon because now, since we can't really go to Australia, let's take a picture from our homes.
After some time, the moon will start to go out of the Earth's shadow into the penumbra. It will start to become like the normal moon.
Yes. And did you know, in the past, ancient people used to think that eclipses were a bad sign because they thought that the gods were angry at them. So, right now, well, the gods not really angry, and there are lots of other myths that have been created about eclipses. So, there's not really um, anything bad about an eclipse, but remember, never see a solar eclipse. A lunar eclipse is safe to watch, but a solar eclipse is not because the sun is involved in this. And
Hmm,
if we look at the sun, you will spoil your eyes, and that is not good. So,
that's right.
this is a safety precaution for everyone. If you want to watch a solar eclipse, well, you can use filters to watch it, and you can also make a projector to watch it. There are lots of different ways that you can watch a solar eclipse. But you can watch the lunar eclipse with a telescope or with your own eyes. And I think from there you'll be clearly able to see the moon. I think it's completely red, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Wow. So, how's the weather there, Pranav? Is it getting colder?
Yes, it's getting very cold. It's windy indeed.
Oh, I think here it rains sometimes here in Bangalore. It's also pretty hot. Well, that's because of the places we're located in.
Let's watch the moon for 5 to 7 minutes and let's have a break.
Yes. So all of you can enjoy the moon and you can take a break.
You can move it.
Wow. I think we can see the total lunar eclipse right now. It's just 2 more minutes to 5 o'clock, and let's enjoy this moment. There's just 2 more minutes to 9:30 in Australia. Actually, there's just 1 more minute. And did you know it would take hundreds of thousands of moons to equal the brightness of the sun? Well, the sun is actually pretty bright, And so, since the sun's light is falling on the moon doesn't have its own light. And for those of you who are wondering, what will happen if the moon is not there on Earth? Or what will happen if we can't see the moon? Or if the moon is absent? Well, first of all, we won't have any light at night. And second of all, well, we won't be able to really do some research on the moon, of course, because it's absent. And if the Earth depletes or if the Earth is not able to survive, then moon is our second chance. So we can live on the moon. But as you know, and as they mentioned in the video, that the moon is only the size of China. I'm not sure if it can fit the whole uh, population of the Earth. But let's see. And as me and Pranav mentioned before, that for people in the north, they'll be able to see the reverse side. And actually, uh, if you look at the lunar eclipse from the moon, the eclipses are actually reversed. So the lighter side will be on the right. And yes, so let's enjoy the moon again. So let's continue watching the moon. We can see a bit of the mares and we can also see the redishness. And we're actually really lucky that we're doing the live stream because it is only visible from Australia. And yes, and also here's another fun fact, uh, and that is that in the 20th of January eclipse, a meteor struck the moon on the bottom left side, and it was a 0.28 second strike. Wow, so it looks like the moon might have another new crater. Well, if the meteor was very powerful, then it would have a crater. So, isn't that cool? And we also have pictures of the 2019 uh, lunar eclipse. We'll also show you that in the very ending. So, stay tuned for that. So, here's another question. Which moons do you think is better? The moon that we have next to Earth, or the moons that we have that are present next to Jupiter? Well, which moon is cooler? I think our moon is pretty cool, but I would also like to explore and see how the moons next to Jupiter looks. So let's hope in the future we'll be able to fly to space. Well, space tourism might become popular in the future. And if it becomes popular, the first place we'll go to is, of course, the moon. And also, here's another fun fact. More than 105 robotic spacecrafts have been launched to explore the moon. It is the only celestial body beyond the Earth so far visited by human beings.
Another fun fact: the orbital period for the moon around the Earth is 27 days. That's about a month. That's why we get full moons every month.
And also, I hope all of you know about the phases of the moon. And currently, the phase of the moon is a full moon. So that means that the 27 days have already passed. And this is the 26th day, which is pretty close.
The radius of the moon is 1,737.1 kilometers.
Yes, that's true. And as I mentioned in the video, it's actually kind of the same size of China. Well, I don't think it is exactly the size of China. We're not sure about that though. Let's do some more research. So get your thinking caps on and let's see what happens. And let's see if the moon is actually the size of China. So let's enjoy the beautiful lunar eclipse. As you can
Let's
see,
have a short break. Let's have a short break.
yes, sure.
I'll be stopping the screen now.
Yes. So while we have our break, you can also try and answer some of the questions. So our next question is, what is the maximum number of eclipses that can happen in a year? Well, you can type it in the chat, live chat, of course. So, yes.
Another interesting fun fact is that the moon's atmosphere is very thin, but still it's made up of neon, hydrogen, and helium.
Wow, that's interesting. I hope in the future we'll be able to, if we're going to the moon, I hope we'll be able to breathe. Of course, we'll bring all of the oxygen, but if it's not there, what will we do?
Shall we reveal the answer to the question?
Yes, we shall. So, the answer to our sixth question is 7. There are 7. The maximum number of eclipses that can happen in a year is 7, but that is very rare. Usually, in a year, there might be about 3 or 4 eclipses. So, two of them are solar eclipses, and the other two are the lunar eclipses. But it's very surprising that the maximum number of eclipses um, that can happen in a year are 7. Well, I didn't know that.
Neither did I.
Yes. So, are you all enjoying the session till now? Do you like the way the moon looks? Well, I sure do. How about you, Pranav?
Yeah, I get a. I have the live view, like the live. This is just a live stream.
While the camera is getting
Yes, it's going to be really cool. I wish I could be in Australia right now so that I'll be able to see the actual blood moon. That would be really, really cool.
I can see I can see the moon is starting to become to its normal shape while the camera is getting fixed.
Yes, okay.
US.
And did you know there's actually a little bit of frozen water which is present on the moon? It actually lies on some of the craters. Like I think the videos that are there have mentioned about the little water, frozen water on the Aitken Basin. That's wow.
Now,
If there's water on the moon, that would be really cool. And I
now
would,
I'll
yeah, you can
now
go.
I will be presenting my screen to see the EOS utility.
Yes. So now we'll be able to see how the moon is going back to its normal shape and its normal self. Wow. So you can slowly see the white part of the moon is increasing and it is slowly entering the penumbral shadow. You can see that? I can see the gray part of the moon. I hope all of you have taken the pictures because
Going.
now the lunar eclipse is about to end. So I had a really fun time looking at the moon and also talking about the moon.
The craters are now the craters are about to be shown.
Yes, I think I can see one of the craters on the right side.
Here, right here.
Yeah, on the bottom corner.
That's the Plato crater.
Wow, that crater actually looks kind of small. But there are even smaller craters on the moon.
That's right.
Yes. And the smaller the asteroid or meteor, the uh, less chances of the mirrors and the amount of lava which comes out. And actually, the moon has cooled down. Well, it took a billion years to cool down.
That's a very long time.
Yes, that's true.
You want content?
No. This crater right there is the Kepler crater. And this crater right there is the Copernicus crater. Now it's becoming visible.
So now we'll slowly be able to see all of the craters appearing, and you can also take pictures of the moon right now. But I think it'll take some more time for it to get out of the umbral shadow. So let's wait for that.
That's right.
Yes.
Another fun fact is the moon makes the waves and the tides in the ocean grow.
Yes.
And that is one of the reasons why we can only see one face of the moon.
Yes, and also, here's another question for all of the people in the audience. So, can you name the planet or the other object that hit the Earth to form the moon? You can type it in the live chat. Well, it's actually, I got to know about the moon when I joined the iAstronomer section. And I think the iAstronomer classes are actually pretty cool because you get to know a lot about astronomy. Right, Pranav?
That's right.
Yes.
Recently, one of my friends asked, can you see a lunar or a solar eclipse from Mars?
Wow. I'm not sure if we can do that, but
Maybe.
About moons.
yeah, maybe we can. But the moon will be actually quite far away from Mars. So, and I've also been wondering, how can we see the lunar eclipse from the moon when the lunar eclipse is actually happening to the moon? Maybe we should get our thinking caps on and do some research again.
Hmm. Maybe we can see eclipses from the moon, depending on how big the Mars's moon is. They have Mars has two moons, Phobos and Deimos, but they're quite small
Yeah,
compared to.
they'll probably be the size of asteroids or a little bigger than that.
What about Jupiter?
Well, it has the largest moons, I think. It's called Ganymede, and maybe there are eclipses that are happening with Ganymede as well.
Maybe, but how lunar eclipses work is, from our perspective, the moon is the same size as the sun.
Yes,
So it makes sense that the moon covers the sun and blocks light in a solar eclipse.
yes. But
And
for that
since
to
the sun,
happen,
and since the sun is far away from Jupiter, maybe we can have it has a lunar eclipse, but not a solar eclipse.
yes, probably. And I don't think we'll be able to land on Jupiter because, it's a gas giant. But let's see, maybe in the future we might be able to see lunar eclipses of the moon Ganymede, probably. And also, the answer for the question that we just asked is Theia. Theia is one of is the planet which actually hit the Earth and formed the moon. So, for those of you who got it right, well, good job. And I think Pranav has a little bit of technical issues. Don't worry, he'll be back in a moment. And I hope you're enjoying the lunar eclipse so far. Well, I'm enjoying it, as I mentioned before. Yes, Pranav, maybe you can continue showing us the moon. So I think Pranav has some technical issues. Don't worry, he'll be back in a moment. So here's another fun fact. Did you know that uh, the day today is actually a super moon, super flower moon? So today is actually a super flower moon. Well, I don't think the moon looks like a flower though, but well, what can we say about it? So we're also enjoying the super flower moon. So we'll give Pranav a moment to rejoin. So please patiently wait. And meanwhile, you can answer another question that I'm going to ask. So our next question is, which eclipse is more dangerous to watch? Well, I think we already told the answer for this while we were discussing about the eclipses, but don't worry, we're just testing your memory and let's see if you can answer it. And also, the planet Theia was a Mars sized object, and we're not really sure if it's a planet or not. So let's see. And also, the Earth's magnetic field, and the Earth has a tidal lock, and it has locked the moon in place so it won't go running around and floating in space. So that's a very interesting piece of information, right? So while Pranav joins back, let's watch another video. This is actually a short story about Christopher's Columbus's time with the Jamaican natives. So let's watch the video now. And give me a moment while I present my screen.
Is there?
Hello and welcome to History Pod. On the 29th February 1504, Christopher Columbus used knowledge of a forthcoming lunar eclipse to fool Jamaican natives into providing his stranded crew with provisions. Columbus had embarked on his fourth transatlantic voyage in May 1502, but after sustaining significant damage in a series of storms, his fleet were forced to beach in St. Anne's Bay on Jamaica, where they remained stranded for a year. The native peoples were initially welcoming to the Europeans and traded food and shelter in return for trinkets. However, as time went on, their hospitality began to wane. After some of Columbus's crew mutinied and attacked the locals, food supplies were stopped and Columbus's crew faced possible starvation. Desperate to save both himself and his crew, Columbus devised a plan that would fool the natives into providing more supplies. After consulting an almanac of astronomical tables, he noticed that a lunar eclipse would occur in the near future. In a meeting with the local leader, Columbus said that his god was angry that the natives had stopped providing food and would show his displeasure by making the moon appear inflamed with wrath. 3 nights later, on the 29th of February 1504, the moon turned dark red. According to Columbus's son Ferdinand, who'd accompanied his father on the voyage, the natives greeted the sight with great howling and lamentation, and soon returned laden with provisions and beseeching the admiral to intercede with his god on their behalf. Columbus retired to his cabin, where he used an hourglass to time the eclipse, emerging shortly before the almanac's predicted end of totality. Informing the natives that he'd prayed to his god to forgive them, the moon soon reappeared. Columbus and his men remained well supplied before being rescued at the end of June.
Well, that was an interesting video. So I think Pranav has joined back. Hello, Pranav.
Hello. Apologies. I just got disconnected because my internet was not in my favor.
Well, it's fine. But we had a splendid time, didn't we? We watched a video about Christopher Columbus' time with the natives and how he was able to fool everybody with the eclipse.
The time is now 9:53 p.m. So we should start wrapping up the meeting.
Yes. Let's get a final look of the moon, shall we, Pranav? Is that okay?
Yes, we shall.
And I think the moon is slowly coming out of the umbral shadow, and now it is falling into the penumbral shadow. Well, I hope you can see Pranav's screen, and yes, I can see the moon. We can zoom in a little to see how the moon looks, and
Yes.
and actually it's hard to look at the difference between the penumbral eclipse and the actual moon because there's not a lot of difference.
Yeah.
Wow. Moon looks amazing. So this is our last look of the moon. So we would like to wrap up the session right now. And if you're wondering about the next eclipse, well, the next eclipse is going to happen on the 16th of May 2022, and it can be seen from the Indian Ocean. And after that, we have the eclipse on 8th of November 2022, and it can be seen from Australia. So both of them are total lunar eclipses, and stay tuned for them. Maybe we might also look at the lunar eclipses and live stream them. So stay
Yes.
tuned. And yes, so we are going to wrap up this session. Thank
Thank
you.
you everyone for joining our live stream. We
Yes.
thank Space India for giving us the platform and telecasting the eclipse and encouraging us during the iAstronomer sessions for the eclipse.
If you also want to be part of this unique learning where you can learn and explore astronomy in the best way possible, then join iAstronomer's Space Astronomy Club. To join, you can visit learn.space-india.com website and get all of the details. So I hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you so much, Pranav, for doing the live stream.
Thank you, Hasini, for joining me. Thank you, all the viewers, and thank you, Mr. Yogesh sir, for helping us broadcast this.
Yes, thank you everyone for attending, and I hope all of you had a great time.
I will leave the eclipse for your viewing, and thank you. Bye.
Me and Pranav are signing off. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye. Bye.
And yes.